Hello, my name is Ben Steele and I'm the PGC Primary Cohort Leader based at Burley, Manchester. I'm going to talk to you about the PGC student's first placement, what we call PG1. All the documents you need to support the student can be found on the partnership website. When you get there, click on school-based training documents. These include the lesson observation performer, the interim and final report, the handbook, and what might also be useful are examples of completed reports and lesson observation. So this is the web page. You need to click on the black box that says resources in the bottom right corner there. Click on partnerships, and this will bring up the partnership resources, and then this brings up all the documents you and the students need if you click on the primary partnership. The handbook for the placement is on the partnership website, and it's the same handbook for class mentor, that's probably you're the class teacher, the student and the MMU tutor. And the idea of that is that we all know what each of us should be doing. It's got everything in it, and it also has a summary at the back, and the handbook is your first port of call if you need to know what to do. The placement's 11 weeks long and finishes on the 16th of January. The placement starts with early reading and phonics week, where the student will need to spend significant time in Key Stage 1. This has already happened by the time you watch this. Students have got a day visit to you after phonics week and a day back at MMU on the 1st of December. There are two other important dates, week beginning the 12th of November when the interim report needs to be completed, and the final week, the week beginning the 12th of January when the final report is completed. These weeks are also when the MMU tutor will visit, observe and meet with yourself and the student. Students should be doing some teaching before half term and gradually building to teach 60% of the timetable by interim and keeping this up. The rest of the time is PPA time and professional development time, observing other teachers as well as yourself. Your students should become increasingly independent and immersed in the whole life of the school and the professional responsibilities of the teacher. Many students are key to get stuck in quickly, but the amount of teaching in the first few weeks should be negotiated and agreed, and it does vary from student to student, so please use your professional judgment. All our PGs have experience in school already, some more than others, but this is their first placement. So expect your student to become a mini of you in many ways, but also over the 11 weeks develop their own professional identity and style in the school and the classroom. These are all the normal expectations we'd expect the school to be involved with. There's a suggested lesson planning performer for the students to use. This is on the partnership website. But if you feel the school's performer is more fit for purpose, then the student could use this. Lesson plans need to be detailed, but also useful and manageable. The student also needs to be evaluating all their teaching, again, in a manageable and useful way. Because thinking and reflecting is invisible, we need to see these in their finals, and they should be setting themselves targets based on their reflections. In terms of assessing the children, the student needs to be marking and assessing. Please guide them on how best to keep records of assessment. Here are some good examples that past students used. The main thing is that any assessment and data collected should be informing their planning and helping the children in your class to progress. Apart from the planning, teaching and assessment and evaluation, the student has some specific tasks they need to engage with. They have a behaviour management portfolio and associated tasks which they need to engage with. If they're in Key Stage 1, they're required to complete the Key Stage 1 phonics tasks and teaching, and this involves teaching and being observed delivering sequences of phonics sessions. If they're in Key Stage 2, they will deliver phonics through spelling activities, word level work in literacy. As a child study, you can help the student choose one of the children to really analyse and get to know them. And students should be beginning to assess the children in a variety of ways with your guidance and support. So what's your role? The role as a mentor is very similar to the relationship you have with your own children as a teacher. So you model for the children, we want you to model for the trainee. You question the children, we want you to question the trainee. You challenge the children, we want you to challenge the trainee. You support the children, you encourage the children, and you're a role model for the children. Please read the student's letter that they've sent you and talk to them about their prior experience so you know where they're at. We have asked that the students identify 3 key issues which they're going to focus in on in this placement. What are these and what are their targets going to be to achieve these? Agree a timetable with the student. Please provide the student with your schemes of work or medium-term plans so that they can begin to plan their own lessons. The students may well work from your plans in the early days and then with support, but the expectation is that they are independently planning very, very soon. We ask that you observe the student formally at least once a week and give them written feedback on a Rolo, that's a record of lesson observation. Many school tutors type these out, although handwritten is perfectly acceptable. It's good practice though to feedback as soon as possible. Please arrange a weekly time with a cup of tea and a nice cake. Just meet with your student to really review progress, discuss planning and set targets for the week. We know students really value this quality time. Use this time to look at their finals. These should be up to date, organised, and show the students thinking and reflections. The student will write a weekly review reflecting on their progress and setting targets for next week. Have a look at these and maybe sign them off or add a comment. At interim and final, write a report on the student and highlight where they are at in their 5 areas of practice. More about this later. One key part of your role is to set your student targets. These could be short term, so next lesson, focus on, medium term, next week, aim to, or long term by the end of the placement. Targets should be SMART, that means specific, not vague, measurable, not woolly, achievable, not impossible, relevant to their professional development and with a time scale. An example of a SMART target might be the following. So we can see that it does take a bit more effort and thought, but hopefully the outcome for the student and the children will be much better than if our target was, you need to ask the children harder questions. The grading criteria is really important. These are the grade descriptions within the report and look like this. It helps you and the student track progress and set targets and will ultimately inform the grade you give to the student. It describes what the student should be demonstrating against the standards. They're in the first column. If they are 4, not meeting, that's the second column. 3, requiring improvement, third column. A good pass, fourth column, or 1, an outstanding pass, the last, final column. In this case, we're looking at subject knowledge and pedagogical knowledge and understanding. And it does this for the 6 areas of the standards, so we can track where the student is at in relation to these 6 areas. Using the grading criteria. We've asked the students to keep a copy of the grading criteria in the report. Each week we ask that the student highlights where they think they are based on evidence they have, and this also helps them to set targets. So in this example, this student thinks that in terms of planning they are overall a good pass, but they need to work on their differentiation and how to overcome children's barriers to learning. Halfway through the placement, the MMU tutor will visit to do a joint observation of the student teaching, go through their files, discuss their progress with you and agree their grades with yourself. Before they visit, we ask that you complete the interim report. Before interim, talk with the student where they think they are in terms of 4, not meeting, 3, requires improvement, 2, a good pass, or 1, an outstanding pass. On the report, highlight in one colour where the student is at against each element and add comments to quantify your judgment. So in this example, the student in terms of subject knowledge is 3, requiring improvement. You've highlighted it in yellow. You will do this again at final on the same document, but highlight in a different colour so we can see that the student has progressed to be good at final. It shows this in blue. It's important that the student's involved in this grading, so there should be no surprises at this point. For example, the student thinking they're outstanding, but the report then indicating that they requires improvement. This review of progress and target setting can be part of your weekly meetings. So the report now includes the grading criteria and the report in one document. Don't try and print this out, it's a huge document, but keep it electronically, and this is what we want you to share with the MMU tutor at interim and final so that you can finalise and agree the student's grades. The role of the MMU tutor is to support the student and yourself to moderate and standardise the grading of the student. This is the front cover of the report, showing the interim and the final grades for Amy, who's made really good progress and comes out with an overall grade of 2, good. To work out the overall grade, see the section in the report which explains this. If a grade 3 is given, clear and specific targets must be given to the student to indicate the improvement needed. Once the report is completed, please email it to the placements team. We're very proud of our PGs, they're hard-working, professional and dedicated. However, if you have any concerns about them or if they are graded 4 at interim in any area, they must be put at risk. Contact the MMU tutor ASAP. Further details are in the handbook. The student will get an extra support visit and very clear targets so they know what they have to do to improve. Don't be afraid to do this, as it is often what they need to help them move forward. The students work really hard on the files, and each year say they want to share this with you and have their efforts validated. An outstanding file tells us a lot about a student in terms of their organisation, professionalism and conscientiousness in their marking, recording and planning, their creativity in their resources and their reflectiveness and thinking. Please find some time to look through their files and engage with them. Comments, post-it notes, even a few smiley face stickers. The things that need to go in the files and how they could be organised is laid out in the handbook. Some of our students are going to be working in a pair in one class, and details of how this is going to work in reality are in a guidance document which is also on the partnership website. So please have a look at this, and this will help you manage the 2 students in your class. I've said that the class mentor-student relationship is similar to the teacher-pupil relationship in terms of modelling, questioning, challenging, supporting, encouraging and being a role model. You may also find that your role changes over the placement as the student moves from survival to experiencing difficulties to plateauing and then moving on. At the same time, you may have to adapt in how you mentor and support and guide your student. This was a very powerful moment for me. I visited a student at a school in Hayfield at interim, and he had captivated the children in a role as a survivor of the Great Fire of London. And when I returned at final, the children had built Pudding Lane, and then he persuaded them to recreate the Great Fire of London and burn it all down. He made me watch the video. The children loved it. But what was powerful was a class tutor had said to Sean, the student, in her feedback, "That was brilliant, Sean. Creative, imaginative, and you certainly took a risk. But why did you do it?" This made Sean reflect on his planning, decision making and the impact this had had on children learning. This was really good mentoring. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been helpful, and I wish you all the best with your students on this first placement of their PGCE programme.